Hi friends.
Hi guys.
How y'all doing?
How y'all doing?
So today's subject is a bit on the heavier side of things.
Yeah.
We will be talking about
Sure.
gender-based violence.
Not real boy.
The one time we have to be serious, bro.
I'm
Are you
sorry.
kidding me?
But why did you do that?
I've been speaking for too long. We'll be talking about gender-based violence, and opening question would be, what is gender-based violence and how do you understand it?
I understand gender-based violence to be an abusive act towards a particular gender. So be it a female that is experiencing, females rather, experiencing abuse, violence rather, let me say, from men, and then vice versa as well, where men experience violence from women. That I guess that's just a quick short answer that I can give in terms of like what I understand it to be. Very demonic, by the way. You?
I see it from that perspective, like more from a spiritual sense of things, where also like your definition copy paste to what I'm saying, but I say that it's a spiritual thing, like it's not a flesh and blood thing, but rather you can see it's light corner, and it's definitely not just what we see. There's a pattern and a behavior and a rhythm that we as a society have sort of become numb to. Every time there's a case or a story, it trends on the socials, we see it on the news, it breaks our hearts, and then we move on. And then the next person and the next and the next. And at some point you need to sit back and think, no, like this is definitely something that the enemy has tried to sort of plant a seed of division and discord, and a war between God's original plan for men and women, where he put Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply, well, to get married, be fruitful and multiply. But now we see a corrupted and a tarnished version of that, where the men that we are meant to be running to are the men that we're running from, because they are people that abuse us. And it's not all of them. But just for the sake of the topic that we're speaking about, I shall be speaking generically. So to me, gender-based violence is a spiritual attack, and it is a warfare that we are, unfortunately, I don't think we're doing our due diligence in terms of fighting back spiritually and praying into it as much as we should, but rather we are, I'm hearing women saying things like, am I next? I'm hearing women hating men, calling men trash, when we are meant to be people that build our homes and nurture our homes. We're the ones that are speaking ill and speaking deadly words into our men.
I think that's the part that makes me sad, just like racism, is that these spiritual big topics are not combated in a suitable way, you know? And it's like, it kind of feels like we're feeding into the attention that the enemy is seeking. Where it's like, now it's like fighting fire with fire. You know, now we're also gonna, come at you guys with our words, or however, women are choosing to fight back. But it's not, it's very rare to say, to find that women are forming prayer circles to pray against GBV, especially when a story comes out. You know, maybe in churches they are praying, I would hope so, but on the socials it's not something you see. You know, but it's also that thing you understand, you know, like the frustration and the anger, and it's like an enough is enough, you know. I think just from a perspective of a child of God, when you understand things, spiritual things, there is a manner in which you should act. and it's that you fight back spiritually, you know. And I'm not saying that that's the only thing you do, but amongst other things, prayer is one of the practical methods that you can add into combating EGBV.
Do you have a story, or have you experienced gender-based violence in any form?
I don't know why I say not really, but yes. I think I say not really because I'm doing something wrong, where it's downplaying because I'm comparing.
Because there's a spectrum.
Yeah,
I get
that. Because I'm still alive, and that's not everybody's story. But I have experienced that where I was touched inappropriately by grown men more than once, actually. You know, and actually, it's happened a couple of times, which is crazy now that I'm thinking about it. How, you know, I'm just like, oh my gosh, actually this happened and that happened. So yeah, I don't really want to, should I go into it? I don't really want to go into it.
You don't have to.
But I was touched inappropriately by men. I have been touched inappropriately by men, and I'm just grateful that I've moved like that. I could move on with my life. Like, that's not everybody's story. Sometimes people get really crippled by those experiences, and to a point where trust. No, today we are behaving, guys. Even Mickey is sitting upright, the mouse. But you know, people get seriously affected where it's like they don't trust men, they don't want to love again, they don't want to see a man, they don't want to even be touched by a man, they're repelled by the thought of a man. When you say men, and woo,
yuck,
like the atmosphere changes.
What's
you know
that?
Like, yeah. So I think I'm more on the privileged side of that. You know, I'm on the side of I've healed, and I'm able to move. I was able to move forward with my life, and that's not everybody's story. So I think that's just lightly what I can say.
Yeah.
Have you?
I share similar story sentiments as you, where like I've heard of worse cases, but I've also like been touched inappropriately, and I've been able to just like move. And I think it's also a thing of you don't deep it until you like sit with yourself at some point. You're like, and
that was not right.
That was not okay. And it's too late because it was a random stranger. I need you know. So yeah, I've been touched inappropriately and like grabbed. Yeah. It's weird stuff like that. But I'm also grateful that I'm on the privileged side of things. But it breaks my heart that it feels like at least 1 in every 3 women that I speak to who share their stories with me, they've experienced harm from an older man or another male.
A trusted one even.
Yes, where they've been violated sexually. And what breaks my heart is hearing statements like, the first time it happened, my heart sinks. And I'm just like, what? And then you look at this woman and she's just like, she's so like, you can see that she's held by God, bruh. And you can tell Guti truly only God could carry you out of that. But it also sucks that it's the story of so many women in our lives. Women who have to carry on like everything's okay. Women who could not speak up and did not speak up and see their perpetrators every day or every week and have to pretend like everything's okay. Women who are scared to speak up because it might jeopardize the family dynamic, or what are they going to say at work and what's going to happen.
And this thing of not being believed is real also.
Exactly. And it sucks that the actions of someone else have a weight on you as someone who is innocent, and now you have to sort of, and it sucks that a lot of women protect these perpetrators. And not from a place of wanting to, but it feels like they have to. Sometimes it feels like it's safer to remain silent and to keep it as is, because if I speak up, so many other things would happen.
It opens so, like, it just, it opens so much, you know, and it's like basically saying goodbye to peace. And it's a thing of, are you willing to stick it through?
Yeah.
Even Mabek Pigisa, and stand for this perpetrator, you know?
And the thing is, like, I'm remembering a case that happened a few years ago, I think 5 to 10 years ago, where a woman had been sexually abused by, I think it was a pastor in a church, and it took years for the case to actually be a thing in court. And the way, like the manner in which that case was handled, like the questions that the lawyer was asking her and making her relive that, like, it was so devastating. And I'm like, Kaizini. And the thing is, he ended up walking free.
Sure.
And like, this woman's story was real. I can tell you that for free.
Yeah.
But like, you watch stuff like that on TV and you say, hey dog, Gambane me, I keep quiet, because now she spilled her whole tea in front of the whole country. And she was, I think those questions were humiliating actually, and sad to be answering. And then still justice is not served.
Yeah.
So sometimes it does genuinely feel, because of our justice system, unfortunately, sometimes it feels like silence is the best option.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes, you know, humanity feels like they need to take justice into their own hands. Where there's actually a story, you know, Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was just reading about her story, that her mother killed her husband, her father. Let me say it like
Charlize
that.
is dead.
Charlize is dead. So what had happened was, I actually came across an interview that she was doing with the New York Times today, actually. And she was telling the whole story. She was 15 years old, so she remembers everything.
Sure.
And like, this man was like that. Vele, he was of a violent character and very stern in Afrikaans, you know. And so there was a time where there were guests in the house, and I think this is also me trying to remember the story properly. And she burst through the door because she was really pressed and she didn't greet. And she mentioned how, like, in South Africa, greeting is a very big deal, you know, like, clearly even with the Afrikaners, you know, just manners, you know. And then she could feel that she did something wrong. Like, she could sense Guti la, like, something has changed, you know, in this man, because of the way she carried herself in that moment. And then I think she told her mom, Guti, she's going to go sleep early. So please just tell him that I'm sleeping. And so just to cut the story shorter, and because I can't really remember exact details, but this man was out for blood. He had a gun, and her and her mom were in the one room, and they were just kind of like blocking the door. I think her and her brother were blocking the door, and the father was shooting through the door. And she's even mentioning it, like, how, like, they actually survived that, like, they didn't get hit by those bullets. And then he went to go get reinforcements. Luckily, the mom had taken her gun from the safe, and then what she did was she followed him as he was going to get reinforcements, and she shot him.
Sure.
Because they were going to die that day if Charlize's mom didn't do what she did.
That's insane.
And it's traumatic, because imagine as a 15-year-old, you know, she even said that today is the day where, she was saying to her mom that you should leave this man. On that day, she's like, yeah, I see it. Sure. After that incident, she's like, and she went to her room. So it's things like that where it's so scary, especially when it's someone in your home. You know, like, this is I think it's even worse when it's your blood. Someone who's meant to protect you, someone who's meant to be a safety net, you know? Because now it's like, then who can be my safety net or my protector if the person that was meant to play that role isn't that anymore or hasn't been that, you know? It took killing this man to say war, or else they were gonna die.
Sure.
You know, there was also a story about a man in America, a little girl who was an actress a long time ago, and she voiced this little girl in I think it's called All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh yeah.
And the father was also abusive, and she would come into the space of work where she would cry. And the thing is, people didn't pay enough attention to that, as to like, how can we help you, sweetie? Like, what's going on? You know, the abuse in the home was so bad. And then the father, one day, he was just scared that they were going to leave him and all, you know, start a new life without him. And he decided to shoot them and shoot himself. So, you know, these are like very
real stories,
disheartening stories that other people were affected by, scars that people have had to carry. A lot of the stories we don't know. You know, some of them just stay behind closed doors, and you know, so it's that thing. Sometimes you do feel failed by the justice system. And I think I just want to touch on. Okay, before we go into that, I don't know if you have any like remarks or anything to add to that.
I had a question, but it sounded like you had a question first.
No, you go ahead and ask.
What's your question? And then I'll see if it like flows.
Ish, where you do this? So my question was going to be more on like male gender-based violence now.
Okay, we'll get into it.
Okay.
So, like, we'll come back. We'll put a bookmark. The question I was going to ask you was, we're hearing these stories, and a lot of the stories of these men that are abusive, you can't help but think, like, they're not okay and they're not well, especially the perpetrators. Like, how can you see an innocent little child and think that it's okay to mishandle or to touch inappropriately or to violate in an inappropriate manner? Like, something's not adding up. And I watched an interview where Rihanna was chatting about when she looked at Chris Brown's eyes, it looked like a switch had been flipped. Like, that was not the man that she loved. Like, that was something else.
Something took over.
And I'm convinced that that's a demonic thing. Especially like when people go into that anger and that rage and you just don't see that person anymore. So with this information, understanding that is not that's not a normal human being. That is not the person in their full well-being or in their healthy state of mind, soul, and body. Our innate response and what it looks like is the popular response from the female species is to hate men because of the way they're treating us. And like, I see the stories and I see the stats and I'm like, it's valid. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be holier than thou.
Too much. Just a bit.
Little bit. Is it fair to hate men? And what's your relationship with men? Like, so what's your relationship with men? And do you think it's fair for women to hate men?
I don't think it's fair. And mainly because I'm not a fan of generalizing. Because there are some good men out there. A lot of good men. And my husband being one of them.
Shout out.
You know. And so for me, as someone who's married to him, how can I say men are trash? How can I? Because that includes him. And the generalizing, you're including everyone. Doesn't matter. You know? And I think it's okay to be angry and to not feel okay about, you know, the way things are happening. But I think to cast everyone under that net is an unfair thing, especially for someone who has worked hard in life to not be that person, or to overcome that, or a man who comes from a home where his father was abusive, and he had to put in work and ensure that he doesn't end up like that to build a better society. You know, someone who would never lay his hand on his mother or his sister or his girlfriend or his wife, and to just put them under there, I think it is insulting. And I think when there was that men are trash era, it was a very hard time for a lot of men
that are good.
One of them being my husband. It affected him. He absolutely hated that hashtag, because it's like, what did I do? You know, or what did I do? And it's because of that generalizing. You know, it's not nice when you are just by default, because you are this gender, then you are included in all of that non-kenji, you know. So I don't think it's fair to hate men, especially because there are good men out there, but also realizing that sometimes I'm scared to speak. But God created men, you know, and there's a reason why He has given them an authority. There's a reason why men exist. And like we spoke in our previous episode, everything that God creates is good. But evil has corrupted a lot of the good things that God has created, and one of them being His creation of men. You know? And so now the devil is dancing at that, because it's like, you know, every time something that God has created that is good and we can make evil, he dances at that, because now he adds on.
He can corrupt.
He can corrupt, and he continues corrupting, and he steals and he kills and he destroys everything that God intended for good, you know? And so to hate all men is to not believe that there could be any good or there could be any restoration or redemption.
I think valid, and thank you. I think someone who's listening to this who has been hurt and violated and feels that their hate is valid, it can feel like we are not taking into account that every man, this is me now speaking from the state of this person, like every man that I have been exposed to has either taken me for granted or violated me or hurt me. Some people genuinely have not experienced a good man in their lives, which is very unfortunate. And to that, I want to say that, and it does sound like a tra-la-la-la-la, but there are good men that are loving, men that are protective, and men that genuinely protect us from the evil vultures that are out there. Like our brothers, and I'm not just talking about blood brothers, but like surrounding brothers. Community. Bro, I remember this one time, and this is like it's like surface level type example. Me and my girl were chilling, and we were talking, and some rando just came, and he like came with that my bebeza type of demeanor. Before he said, well, he did say something, one or two. Should I name drop?
Who was protecting you?
Yeah. My boy Kamu just comes, didn't even give that gent 5 seconds. He was just there, stood in front. He's like, nah. Like, he's just like, what's going on, bruh? Like, what are you here for? So there are people that genuinely, they see that men have a characteristic that is toxic and they're not okay. And they will jump in the fire. They will come through and protect. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Sorry, and that's the thing, Wuti, like, how can you say someone like that is trash? You know, where there's always good to something that's bad. You know, sounds like a very bold statement. I stand to be corrected. But let me say everything that God has created, because I'm like, the men that are in my life, you know, in my community, are very protective, even of me, you know. Sometimes they give my husband, you know, a tough time because they want to make sure that I'm taken care of, you know. Like, hey man, your wife is pregnant. Like,
Massage your feet.
go to, you know, massage her feet or whatever.
Massage your feet.
If they tell him to. But yeah, like, yeah, he does if I ask nicely sometimes.
So now we go into
Sometimes.
your question. I'll segue into that.
So we've been talking a lot about females being
Violent.
women being violenced,
Yeah.
or experiencing violence, right? But it's very rare, extremely rare, for it to be a topic where it's men who experience the violence, you know? And whenever we have these movements as well, I very seldom, if anything, I never, and this is me, I never, I'm not saying that they haven't, but I never hear of, you know, a man's story or a man who's experienced violence, you know, from another woman, because they are there.
Yeah.
You know, especially the men that cannot lay a hand on another woman, or even men just experiencing abuse and violence from other men as well, you know. And so can we say that gender-based violence can exist as well for men? And why is it that we don't hear much about it?
Like, as you were cooking the question, like I had little bit of tears in the back of my eyes, because I'm thinking of all the interviews that I've seen where men actually speak up about being violated. I think it's incredibly hard to be a man. I wouldn't know, but it looks really hard. I think primarily because it's and not like, I feel I'm trying to say it in a way that doesn't belittle the struggle or the hurt of a woman, but there's like a low-key acceptance and a comforting that comes to a woman who expresses that she was violated or abused. But the moment a man says it or tries, like, and I can imagine it takes so much courage to actually like utter the words, to even process what's happened and be bold enough to articulate what's happened. Oftentimes, I don't have the stats, but I even see it in comments. When a man like posts a video about his experience, which is very rare, there's like a mockery. There is a making fun of, because you're a man. Like, how did that happen? Like,
when
you didn't enjoy it, or like, how did someone hit you? Like, how could you be hit by a woman? And that is heartbreaking, because like I told you earlier, there's a video that I saw on Instagram where this gent said he was 9 years old when he was violated, and he was speaking on a podcast, and there was like and it's like gents speaking together, and like my heart broke sincerely, because here's this man trying to be real and be vulnerable in front of the guys,
other men,
and they laugh at him, bruh. And then like you could see how he switched his mood, and he tried to make it like a haha moment, and like he made it a joke as well. And I was like, sure, dog, like that is so hard, because I also feel like with men, there's like a small window. Like they'll speak something once, and if it doesn't land safely when they're vulnerable, it's chai, dog. Like you lose him, and he shuts the wall is back up, and it's up for days, forever. We hope not. But the question was, oh yes, men are, yes, I do believe that gender-based violence can happen to males as well from females. Like females can abuse men. I've heard a story where a friend of mine at the time, you could tell he was so hesitant to tell me the story. Like he first asked me, like, do you think that women can violate men? And I was like, yeah, I believe so. And he like hinted at the fact that it happened to him, but you could tell that it was so sensitive and he didn't even know how to like say it.
Yeah.
And there's like this shame as well. But yes, I do believe that it does happen to men as well.
And sorry, just to add on something that you mentioned, that it must take a lot of courage for a man to speak. Already men are they're quite terrible with communication in terms of like their feelings.
Not you generalizing.
Hey man, askisin. Okay, Sam, I'm sorry for generalizing. So like some find it very hard to communicate their feelings or just to communicate anything that deeply affects them.
Yeah.
Or, you know, rubs them the wrong way. Because it will always end up making them the bad guy. So I didn't like it when you did that to me. Okay, but like, you know? So that's an experience for a lot of men. Yeah. And so now I must tell you that I was abused by a woman.
That's wild.
Like, are you insane? You know? And I think it's a silent crisis. You know,
I don't think men are afforded the safety or safe spaces to be vulnerable and to speak about such things.
And it's also because of the way they're raised. You know, you are a man.
You don't cry.
You don't cry.
Have you seen your husband cry?
Yes, I have.
Nice, bless.
Yeah, hey, it's nice to know that he cries.
Focus.
Sorry. He cried when I walked down the aisle. Yeah, he was about to ugly cry. He was holding.
Focus.
Sorry.
If you're new to this podcast, Zintle has like big pregnancy burps and they take a bit of time. So I have like a little bit of an ad break.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because that silence is really awkward because I'm speaking one moment. One moment I'm speaking and then it just says...
You're breaking down, dog.
But I think it's really sad to cry internally. Like already I know what it's like to have frustrations that I can't voice. But imagine that being your whole life, especially because you were raised that way and you were told that this is what a man does and these are things that a man should not do. So imagine being a man and going to report to the policeman that your wife is beating you.
Speaking of raised this way, do you think that fatherlessness could be a cause of gender-based violence? Especially from the male perspective.
100%. I think so because, like I said, men were created for a reason by God. And there's an authority that they carry. And there's a part that they play in a child's life, whether you're a woman or a man, a boy or girl, a female or a male. The role of a father is important, you know? It is very important. And I think when that is absent, I think especially for men, how do I man?
Like, what even is man?
What do I do with all of this testosterone, you know? Because a father can put you to order. A father can tell you that we don't do that. You never raise your hand. You open the door for, you know, they're there to teach you how to be a man that this world deserves, you know? And fatherlessness, I feel like fatherlessness, it creates abandonment issues. And then what could happen from that? You have unresolved anger from feeling like I'm not loved. And it's like I believe that men and women process feelings differently.
They do.
And a man sometimes tends to get violent with what he's feeling because of the intensity. Whereas women, we might be the criers, might be more on the crying side. This is also just my opinion. It's not something that I read as a fact or whatever, or scientific, whatever. But it just, And so men sometimes, not all, but sometimes men struggle to process or regulate emotions. And so the best way that it comes out is that either they're silent, they keep quiet, and die inside, or eventually that silence erupts. And the way it erupts is in violence, you know, and they have no control over this thing because of how intensely they're feeling these feelings.
Yeah.
Why was I abandoned? Am I not in? They're thinking the same things that a woman is thinking, but the way that we are processing the information is very different. You know, a woman, I'm crying. My father doesn't love me now. I have daddy issues. A gent, my father left me. Now I'm left to figure out how to be a man on my own. I don't know how to do that. And so now it just kind of creates like this chaos in the system. But I think that's what I can, say about that.
I do believe that not having a father definitely leaves a massive gap, and it's a lifelong wound that a lot of men carry. But I do believe that you do have a choice.
100%.
Just because, like, I have so many examples, I can write pages and books of men that do not have a good relationship with their fathers, or they grew up without fathers, and they are top 2 and not 2.
Stellar.
Top quality type of man. So fatherlessness, I do believe it plays a massive role in gender-based violence, but I do believe that there are ways in which, like, it doesn't have to end that way. Get me?
Yeah.
Just because you don't have a father, I don't think your path is going to be that of violence and abuse.
Yeah.
I do believe that there's a victorious story for each and every single man, should the path sort of lead them in a good way.
Yeah. That's the thing, you always have a choice. Like, even if, like, as much as I said, sometimes men struggle with regulating their emotions. Are you getting help? Are you speaking? Are you, like, what are you doing about that? You know, like, there are things that you can do, or just a choice, guys.
On that, ways to help, I also think that father figures play such a massive role, dog. Like, I work at a boys' school, and I see how there's just this genuine hunger and thirst that young males have. Like, the way they look at a male figure is so different to the way that they look at a female
figure,
which is like, it's a thing that I've made peace with. Like, I'll never be as cool as the male teacher, especially in a boys' school. But, like, they worship the ground that they walk on, because, like, when they look at a man, they see a role model and they want to be like that. And so, as a man, I think that try your best, and by all means, like, mentor younger men, because, like, I think men know that thing that I'm talking about, that like, they have such great admiration for older men. Like, even gents our age, there's like men that are older than them, they're like, that's a man, dog. You know, so they have that thing. And so if you are someone who is in a situation where you can identify a younger male who does not have a father figure, and you have capacity to mentor them, or to just do life with them, or check in, or be a big brother for them, I can tell you right now that will do so much for their identity, more than you'll ever know.
100%.
Closing remarks, or like in conclusion, there are people that are in violent relationships, and they stay.
Ish.
So can we speak into, like, do you understand why? Like, can you empathize in that regard? Like, your husband is beating you, there's ribs that are broken, there's bruises every other night, yet you choose to stay. Is that, like, do you want to speak into that? And maybe wrapping up, we can chat about means in which we can reach out and help people that are currently being abused.
Obviously, I won't fully understand. But there was this video I watched as well. It's funny how these videos came up.
Same.
Like, today. as we're actually going to be talking about this.
I think the algorithm was listening to our conversation.
Maybe.
I can't prove it though.
It's the government. But there was this video of a clip from a movie of how this woman was weeping for her man. This man who raped her daughter. She's not crying at the fact that he raped her daughter. She's crying at the fact that he left.
You precious?
Yes, he
I saw it today also.
Yeah. And I'm like, Precious is just sitting there like,
sure.
You know, Yampega. I also know of a friend of mine whose mother was experiencing abuse, but she was fighting for her man and didn't want the child to intervene because of Moshizindo, you know? And I think as a woman, you long to be loved. There's just this longing. Let me not generalize. I'm sorry for generalizing. Let me be careful with that. But some women long to be loved by a man. And when you get that, or when you feel like this is my one chance to get that, you want to make sure that you will not allow anything to get in the way of that. He can do whatever he wants to me. I'm sold out for this man. He can abuse my children. He can abuse me. But I still have my man.
Can I add to that? There's also a fraction of women where abuse is all you've known. Like, you grew up in an environment where mom used to be beaten by dad. You grow up and it so happens that the first man you meet and loves you ends up beating you. I think for the human mind, especially if you haven't experienced anything outside of that, that feels normal.
That's love.
It's exactly because that's how you've been
quotation marks,
grown.
Quotation marks.
There's also the traditional way of thinking where our mothers would say things like "Yabegezelwe emshadweni," where traditionally, like, it's okay for a man
to beat you,
and like you must fall in line.
Yeah, like there was someone who said the wildest statement, and they were like, "Yeah, vele, like women need to be beaten by their husbands."
Said by a woman,
because sometimes women don't listen and they don't fall in line. So to make them fall in line, they must be beaten. And she even said that some women on their foreheads are just written "beat me," and I'm like, that is actually insane. That's
crazy, dog.
That just came out of your mouth like normal, you know, and that's the only way some people receive love.
Yeah,
you know, and I think it's crazy that it's a norm.
Yeah,
and because you grow up like that, that's what you know to be love.
That's all you've known.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you were done.
Yeah.
So for a woman who has found that man, especially after a long time or whatever it is, but there's just this craziness that you feel for this man that it doesn't matter what he does, that you stay in that relationship. Others stay for security. If I leave, where am I going?
Also, I married this man when I was like 20, dog.
Yeah.
Sing na 40. What am I going to do?
Or I'm staying for the children. Where like there are real stories where it's like I don't have a job, I don't have security, it's either this or the streets. And some women will stay to ensure, because they also need to watch their children.
Yeah.
So some women will stay to protect their children, to ensure and to protect themselves.
Yeah.
It's like a thing of, you know what, I'll hold on a little longer, and then when they die they rejoice. It's very sad that you are literally waiting for someone to die, you know? So I think that's just a few things I can think of in terms of like why women stay.
Yeah. May I share the closing remarks?
Yeah.
So if you are watching this video and you're someone who is in an abusive pattern, or you've been harmed in some way, you feel trapped in that space, we are opening our DMs, or I don't know how to do it on YouTube, but if you'd like an ear, because I do know that the moment you speak about something or bring it into the light, it is a step into the right direction. If you just like an ear and someone to hear what is going on in your life, we're here for you. So you may send us a message in the DMs. If you'd like us not to speak, that's fine. But if you'd like us to speak into it as well, that's also offered. Also, if you are someone who's listening and you have any resources or links that people can click on if they are being abused currently, please drop it in the comment section.
Helpline,
a phone number, a website, please drop it below. And let's help each other in this.
In ending this demonic thing.
Yeah.
And this goes out to men as well.
Yes.
Share your stories, like be more vocal about it. This is a safe space.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're comfortable with us sharing your stories, both men and women, which we will get to at some point, but I think it is important to continue bringing in awareness to this this issue, and not just have it like as a seasonal thing. Oh, now this happened and then now we're only talking about it now, but it's like, you know,
but do share, please. You can keep it confidential. We won't share anything. But if you'd like us to share your story at any point, we'll ask for permission if we ever get to that point. But just know that we are on the download. If you don't feel comfortable with talking to us, because we could be completely random strangers, talk to someone.
Or CIA.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.